So, welcome everybody. Thank you for listening to the April energy update. And I first want to just start with a big hug to all of you. The energy has been, wow, pretty crazy in March, as was predicted. And I'm hoping you weren't personally completely thrown off. I'm here to tell you that April was supposed to be, well, relatively calm. And so far, it's April 5th. We've had, not to get into politics, but we've had the tariffs, and now today, scheduled to be some huge protests across the country. I am sure that energy is going to continue through April and beyond. So, thank you so much. Buckle up. We're going to get right into this energy forecast for this month. And so thank you everybody for listening. I just wanted to share first that kind of the energy of Pisces was really strong in March. It was kind of, we had this amazing, what's called a conjunction of a number of planets, kind of a pileup of planets. Hey there. A pileup of a bunch of planets in Pisces, and actually at the last few degrees of Pisces. And if you listen to the March update, which is on my YouTube channel, you would have learned a little bit about what Pisces energy is about. It's a water element sign. It is ruled by the planet Neptune, which has very strong overtones of spirituality and kind of really the unseen realm, dealing with heavy issues that can go into depression and addictions, but also the highest elevated consciousness of being connected to the oneness of all. And of course, those two polar opposites are so deeply connected together, and they live in the sign of Pisces and the planet of Neptune. So we had at the very end of March a shift from Neptune into Aries. And this energy is quite different. And right now, we have Neptune and the Sun both in Aries. And we have had the movements of Mercury and Venus are very quick, but they're both in like retrograde, which I'm not going to get into that. I'm sure you know, you've heard of Mercury retrograde, right? We are in the time of Mercury retrograde where communications can be a little challenging, challenges with technology and with communication. So being very clear on any communication with somebody. Now, Mercury is slowing down, and I believe it's even stationed right now, but it's still kind of in, or it might be in the shadow. Um, I believe it will come out of retrograde on Monday, the 7th. So correct me if I'm wrong, but anyhow, so energy is really what I want you to understand now is with the Sun and Neptune in Aries, Mercury coming out of its retrograde, there is a much stronger movement, toward action, toward moving forward, because the sign of Aries is a very different energy from Pisces. Aries is ruled by fire, and Aries is about the pioneer. It's about taking risks. It's about opening and being very direct, bold, courageous. These are all like the positive qualities of Aries. Of course, like with everything, there's the negative qualities that also come up: aggression, violence, war, selfishness, really being all about me. So we've kind of got those, polarities always that we're working with as human beings on this planet. But the good news is that Aries is associated with new beginnings. So we just had the spring equinox, right, on March 20th. And the chart for the spring equinox is very interesting. And it really is known, of course, we have January 1st that we're typically know in our times as the beginning of the new year. But when we were in agriculture and those types of times, we would associate the spring equinox with the beginning of the new year. So astrologers like to take a look at the chart for the spring equinox and use that to determine the flavor for this coming year. And it was a very interesting chart because we had a whole bunch, 8 planets that were bunched up at the end of Pisces and Aries. So right at that endings and new beginnings, right? So you can kind of see the theme here for this year is that we have lots of endings that we're seeing on the public stage and new beginnings as well. And whenever there's new things starting, we just have to be mindful that just because something new starts doesn't mean it has the strength, the energy to complete. Because Aries is a cardinal sign. So when we look at cardinal signs, and it's all on the solstice and equinoxes, are really great with starting new things. There's a lot of energy behind it, and sometimes a little bit of spontaneity and maybe naivete. So there's a boldness of stepping out. I love that energy of just starting new things. I have that very strong within me to start new things. But the problem, I think you know where I'm going here, is the impetus to, or the persistence to keep it going. So just because new things are starting, it doesn't mean that they will go through to its completion. So good and bad to that, right? So just keep that in mind when you're looking out on the world stage, but also in your own life. If there's something that, new that wants to start, let it go. If you let it start, if you have that motivation and that feeling to do it, this is the time to start. There's a lot of courageous energy right now, a lot of boldness, and we might be feeling that that need. One other thing I just want to interject here is some of you, including me, have been feeling very stagnant, I think, in the last few months. There's just been a lot of although there's this chaotic whirlwind perhaps around us, I've been feeling a little stagnant in my work. So you may have felt that as well. And maybe it was more about there's so much going on in this world. I have to protect myself. I have to do some self-care, which I hope you have. Maybe it was some of that. And, many of us are very, very sensitive to energy. So that is such an important thing to recall, to remember. But it also, I think there was this energy of this stagnation with a lot of planets in Pisces. Although Pisces is water and it's flowing water, water can be just a little like things aren't clear. That's kind of one of the other aspects of Pisces is lacking clarity. So that can actually keep us a little stagnant, maybe feeling like we're in a whirlpool a little bit, unable to figure out what to do, which way to go. So that energy is really starting to break up, moving into the fire element of Aries. So you might be feeling motivated and driven to do something that you've been thinking about or you've been uncertain about. This month, you may be feeling more clarity, and that's a really good thing. Some of you may be feeling very energetically high, which is a shift in your energy, and there again is the underpinnings of the theme of Aries is popping through. I know that some of you may be also feeling really off. Now, this is really fascinating because as I'm slowing down and going internal more than ever before, I've been noticing that things are just, I don't know, maybe it's reality is a little odd. And I don't mean perhaps in the way you're thinking, like, why is this happening? But there's something in the air that just feels different, feels odd. And again, you may be feeling this if you're hypersensitive, and maybe you're not used to being hypersensitive, but this Piscean energy has connected you with a deeper sensitivity. And this feeling off is so hard to put into words. So, just to give you an example, back in October, I mean, I wrote this in my journal, so I remember back in October, I remember I was doing some chore around the house. I think I was like cleaning the front of the refrigerator. And all of a sudden, I just got the sense that dimensions were time shifting. There was like this feeling of a shift. And it was so, so subtle that if I was maybe listening to a podcast or listening to music or having a conversation, I certainly wouldn't have noticed. But because I was just kind of doing chores, I suddenly got like a, hmm, hmm. Have you ever had a deja vu? Now, it wasn't a deja vu, but you know that weird feeling when you have a deja vu that it's just a sudden, very subtle, like, ooh, it's almost like you stepped out of the matrix for a second. So some of you might have noticed this, you may have felt it, and it is just part of this process that we're going through. Um, I know that very lately, I mean, even though with this energy moving into Aries, I have felt very tired. It's not like me. I've just been feeling my energy is low. I have felt like I've wanted to take a nap, and I'm not a nap taker at all. So I I actually don't take a nap. I probably should if I'm feeling that low, but anyhow, so you may have been feeling that as well. If you've been feeling very low, I just want to say, of course, for a while, make sure you go to the doctor or if necessary, or look at what you're doing. Maybe you're just overbooking yourself. Neither one of those apply to me right now. I feel like it's just this overwhelming sense of sensitivity to everything. And it's, like I said, it's not just the news. And I make sure that I don't spend much time. I dip in a couple of times throughout the day just to see the top headlines. I don't need to go any deeper. When I feel myself getting worked up, I disconnect. I try not to even get to that point and disconnect because I am I care for myself too much to allow myself to go to the extremes of fear that I think is such a big emotional pull for many people right now. So, okay, there has been a feeling I don't know if it's real, but I know that in my circle of people and people I'm always, I do a podcast. Check it out. It's called The Enchanted Earth. Wherever podcasts are, I'm on YouTube though too. I am talking with a lot of people there and a lot of people in my clients and school and colleagues. There's a sense that it's like catastrophes everywhere. And there's a weird sense of addiction to that. Kind of like, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, what's going to happen next? And that's something to kind of look at. I do feel like there are a lot of things going on, not just political and societal, but the earth and our solar system. There is this connection between the planetary energy and what's happening in our social political environment as well as the earth. And it just brings to mind the cosmic trinity, which I love in Eastern philosophy, is heaven, humanity, and earth, right? And they're all integrally linked. Heaven, humanity, and earth. Energy comes down from the cosmos into our bodies. We kind of are a mediator to the earth, and the earth sends up energy through us up to the cosmos. There's this beautiful connection, but we're in this like really, really wild time of a lot of things going on out there and a lot of things going on under our feet. So there's a YouTube channel I've been watching lately, Stefan Burns, who's really fun. He's a geobiologist. He talks about the solar flare activity and the alignment of planets in the sky and connects it with what's going on under the earth, the earthquakes, volcanoes. Uh, he doesn't really get into the weather systems too much unless I just haven't seen that yet. But it's all connected. It is just amazing to see the charts that align with solar flare activity, and then boom, we have earthquakes. And yes, we have earthquakes across every day on this planet, but I'm talking about like 6 and above. Those are much more significant. And it's just pretty incredible to see the connection between them. So I highly recommend watching this channel if you have any interest in that. But so just a friend recently was evacuated from his home in North Carolina because of fires. And he's now staying with us for a couple of weeks. And thankfully, we had storms that went through that area and the fires are under control, as far as I understand. And so it was that, but his area also got hit with that big storm. Was that back in August? That is still has lingering impacts across the mountainous areas of North Carolina, just devastating. So it's like kind of like apocalyptic, for the people that live in that area. Can you imagine? And if you're any one of them, my gosh, I'm, blessings to you, because it's like you're home, and it's like one thing after another, just really crazy things. It's all connected. And there was a huge coronal hole in the sun, which, again, that YouTuber Stefan Birds was showing what a typical coronal hole is. And this one was like 5 times the size, perhaps. Just pretty incredible. And a huge coronal mass ejection went out. And yes, I mean, many areas of the world are seeing, in the Northern Hemisphere at least, are seeing a lot of northern lights, which are a beautiful kind of the silver lining to these solar flares. But that is contributing to seismic activity. But what I loved is one of my wonderful astrologers that I follow, and a lot of the information I get is from Pam Gregory, who is just an amazing astrologer in the UK. She has a lot of guests. I believe it was her who said this conjunction in the equinox of the Sun, Neptune, and the North Node were about awakening to the magic of the natural world. And that energy from the equinox is for this whole year. So Neptune, Sun, and North Node awakening to the magic of the natural world. And I feel deep within me, this is my mission here. I feel like it's always been there, but I've had to kind of dig a little and uncover what was there for me, what my calling is, but it is for us to connect. And I think the word connect is not good enough. To immerse ourselves in the energy of the natural world. I mean, we are, right? Just our breath, as one of my guests on my podcast talks about, Gordon Hempton. His interview will be up in May, but he talks about we're not disconnected from nature. Just take a deep breath. You're breathing in all of it. It's coming into our bodies. And it's a wonderful reminder. Taking a deep breath is a wonderful reminder that we're connected to all. But this is a point we're in this process of a huge shift in our personal lives and in the global collective. We have a choice. Do we want to live in a world of fear or a world of love? And it is simple as that every time we say we want to be in a world full of love, we're contributing to that outcome. Our outcome here, no one can know because it's not in the stars, it's in our free will. Do we want to contribute to fear or to love? It's as simple as that. And I know it's not a simple thing, but we just have to bring ourselves back to that. So in the last few minutes here, before we wrap up, I would ask you to close your eyes and just take a nice, easy, comfortable breath in and out. And notice how good it feels. And notice how simple this is. And I ask you to, I think, one of the most important things we can do for ourselves right now is to incorporate a tiny practice in our lives of stillness. That is the key. It's the key to our sanity. And if you can do that stillness outside, ooh, it doesn't have to be that you're physically still. I mean, mentally, mentally still. Taking a walk in nature in a mindful way is stillness. And even if your day is too busy, when you walk from your home to your car or to mass transit, to do it in a mindful way, to remember to look around you and see what you can of nature. If it's some shrubs, some trees, even the sky, notice this, maybe rain, maybe clouds, maybe some soil, some rocks. Really notice what you pass as you walk by. And I think in a mindful way, it's so powerful and it can add so much to our daily lives. And it can bring us back to who we are as human beings on this planet at this point in time, who has chosen to be here to see this great transformation, this great upshift in consciousness. We've known this at a very subtle level all of our lives, that something like this was going to happen, and we were here for it. We're here for it. We're strong. We're loving. We're joyful. And I just want to close with this. Someone I follow, Heather Cox Richardson, Heather Cox Richardson, said, like, exactly what I've been saying for the past couple of years. It's living in joy is the best medicine, is the best resistance to what we're experiencing in the outer world. I just mean all the chaos in the outer world. Not getting political here. There's just tons of chaos. Living with joy, playfulness, curiosity for life, learning, exploring, all of those things that remind us of being children. Living with that contributes tremendously to a better planet. So lots of love to all of you. Big hugs. And I hope to see you next month when I'm back, probably the first Saturday in May. You'll see it on my Instagram. And if you're on my newsletter, please follow my newsletter and follow the Enchanted Earth podcast, where I have some amazing stories of people that are living in joy in connection with this sacred planet. So all the best, everybody.